Well, we are super close to Dr. Ratio's release, and with that being said, that means that we are all going to be getting this character at the same time. So this presents a question that we are going to be answering today, and we're going to be looking at some alternatives when it comes to Dr. Ratio's best Lightcone, because yes, we do have the information for his signature, and I know a lot of people are eyeballing his signature versus his E1, and we'll be talking about that because a lot of people are excited that we're getting Dr. Ratio, and for the fact that we are saving Stellar Jades, some people are like, maybe I should get E1, possibly just because I was going to spend on this character anyway, or I might go get the Lightcone because of course we didn't have to spend on the character, so I'm gonna go for the Lightcone, make him even more busted as we already have. So we're gonna be looking at his Lightcone, see how good it is on other characters, see how good it is on him. We're also gonna be looking at the 4-star lineup, and then we're also going to be looking at what other Lightcones can we put on Dr. Ratio if you don't want to summon on this Lightcone. Now we are super excited for this. If you haven't already grinded for this guy when it comes to his traces, for what relics he needs, what planar ornaments, all that type of stuff, I do have a video talking about that if you want to go take a look at it. But let's go ahead and start looking at his Lightcone. Baptism of Pure Thought. This is the craziest Lightcone art we've seen in a while. Holy moly. I'm not gonna lie to you, but the Lightcone ability is going to be increase the wearer's crit damage by 20%. I like this a lot. The fact that they're not giving us extra crit rate is a good thing because we are going to be getting some from his trace regardless. So this is a really good thing to have. For every debuff on the enemy target, which is what his kit is around of, the wearer's crit damage dealt against this target increased by 8%, stacking up to 3 times. That means this goes up to 24% if I'm not stupid. 24% plus the 20%. So you're getting 44%. I might not be mathing. I'm 100% not gonna lie to you, but it might be 44% extra crit damage when you do end up hitting the target with 3 debuffs on them, and that's majority of the debuffs that you would put on a enemy to be able to proc a lot of Dr. Ratio's talents when it comes to his Sumnation, being able to stack up 3 stacks. When it comes to his damage dealt buff, he needs 3 or more stacks to be able to get that off. So this is a really good thing that this is very synergistic with his kit already. When using their ultimate to attack the enemy target, the wearer receives the disputation effect, which increases damage dealt by 36% and enables their follow-up attacks to ignore 24% of the target's defense. This effect lasts for 2 turns. Wow, that is kind of a nasty second part of the passive for this Lightcone. The fact that when you use the ultimate, you get increased damage dealt, and not only that, you also are going to be getting an ignore of defense on your follow-up attack, which is, you know, Dr. Ratio's main point of damage. And when he does his ultimate, which is a single target hit, he does have 2 follow-up attacks that come right out of it after you hit that same person with any ally on your team. This is a really stacked Lightcone, especially for Dr. Ratio. Like, I mean, there's so much in this Lightcone that's helping him out like crazy when it comes to the damage, the 40% extra crit rate that the 40% extra crit damage that you will be getting just by basically playing the way you would with Dr. Ratio, and then using the ultimate to get that increased damage dealt, and then getting the ignore on defense. Woo, this is an amazing Lightcone for him. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a really good Lightcone. But the one thing I do want to say is that I was thinking that this Lightcone could possibly work on someone like Topaz, because I knew they were going to play around with the follow-up attack type of thing when it comes to a new Lightcone having a character that is follow-up attack centric. We were going to see if this could help Topaz do more damage in ways where it's less supportive and she just wants to be the main star of the show. But it looks like this is not going to be really good on her, just because we are going to be, of course, benefiting from the crit damage, but the second part of the passive is where it kind of like falls off, where you're trying to get the disputation effect. You don't get this unless you hit them with your ultimate, and Topaz's ultimate is a passive one. It doesn't hurt the enemy until Numby actually gets his turn, and I don't think that counts as an ultimate at all. It's literally just the activation that is the ultimate. So this Lightcone by far is super and hyper restrictive to just this character only. The only other character that can literally help with this Lightcone or be used with this Lightcone is Yanqing, which I know no one's going to be using that when it comes to having this Lightcone on the on their, I guess you say, set of what characters can use it. So this character, if you really are looking into Dr. Ratio for the Lightcone, this is a well worth Lightcone just because of how much it gives when it comes to the 40% extra crit damage, the extra damage dealt, and also ignoring defense on follow-ups. That is a lot for his kit. Now looking at the 4 stars that are going to be on the banner, it's not too bad of a banner, but not the greatest. We do have Perfect Timing, which is my opinion one of the best abundance Lightcones to be able to have as a 4-star. Works really well on every abundance unit and also helps proc in Broken Kill very easily. So this is a really good 4-star to have. I do not like Silence Remains. If you know me, I do not like conditional light cones, and the fact that we are in an AoE centered meta, AoE centric meta, we are going to see more than 2 enemies on the field at all times, at pretty much, unless you go ahead and like mow down all the mobs. But with Dr.Ratio in specific, and with some of the characters that will be using, you know, the hunt light cone, it's just that they aren't able to do as much damage to be able to take out all the characters that you would want to be able to proc the second part of this passive. Now, it does, you know, give you that stat stick of attack percent, but the only problem is you won't ever see that crit rate until you're already basically done with the boss. I do think by at this point in the game where destruction units are king at the moment, you are basically doing a lot of adjacent damage, and a lot of these units are taking a fat ton of damage across the board over turns. And by the time you finish out the mobs that are on the side of the boss should already be dead at that point. So I don't really like Only Silence Remains. The attack boost is really nice, but right now this isn't the really best light cone for a lot of hunt units or for Dr.Ratio as well. And then Landau's Choice, I think this is a really nice 4-star light cone. You are going to be getting attacked more, and you get less damage taken when you do take damage, which is a good generalist light cone for preservation units. We don't really have a lot of characters that want to be attacked or, you know, need the damage taken. This works really good on Japard, works really good on Fire MC. We don't have a lot of really good preservation units in terms of being a shielder. Those are kind of few and far of them. I don't know why we're like in a low pool of characters that can provide shields and that can work in this preservation path, because we all know Fu Xuan, we know she's not true preservation. She's like the apex of whatever she wants to be. She's harmony, she's abundance, she's preservation, she's everything. Over Japard and Fire MC, I don't know. I wish we would get more characters that could benefit more from a lot of these other preservation light cones. And then you also have the Herta Shop one as well. But Landau's Choice is a really good generalist light cone for 4 stars. Perfect timing, one of my favorite abundance light cones. Abundance always has really good light cones. So seeing this one is really good just because you will be able to proc Broken Keel. And then Only Silence Remains. Like, again, I really don't like this light cone for any character just because it's super hyper conditional, and I just don't like that the 2 or fewer enemies on the field, because by that point everyone would be dead. But looking at the light cones that possibly could work with Dr.Ratio, we can look at something like Swordplay. I think Swordplay is going to be one of the better substitutions to be able to use for Dr.Ratio, because the way this works is you will get damage dealt increased by 8% up to 5 times, and if I'm mathing correctly, that is 40% extra damage. Especially if you superimpose 5, it's going to be even more. And then looking at that, which I think I can look at superimpose 5. Oh wow, 16% stacking up to 5 times. God dang, that's a lot, not gonna lie. But if you do have a Swordplay, the way this works is that whenever you stick on one target and you just keep attacking that target, you know, back to back to back, and you don't switch off to another character, you will be able to stack as much damage as you possibly can with this light cone. And the way Dr.Ratio works is you're going to be using the skill on them. They get the follow-up attack. That's 2 hits already. Then you use the ultimate. It still hits the same person because it's single target, and then you get the 2 follow-ups after your allies hit the enemy as well. So you're basically going to get the full effect of this very quickly if you just do a normal combo with Dr.Ratio. So Swordplay is by far going to be one of his better light cones for sure when it comes to all the substitutions that you can put. Right now, I'm not 1000% sure what else could work on him very well. I think the Topaz light cone could work if you're not going to be using him on the same team, just because you are going to get that crit rate, which that might overflow his crit rate in all honesty, just because of his Sumnation talent. And then you are going to be getting the follow-up attack damage up by 30%, which is a really good thing. And then when you do use your follow-up attack, you do apply a stack of Tame, which is going to be increasing the crit damage dealt by 12%. And this is a really cool thing for DPS, Dr.Ratio, if you are going to be using that and you do have a Topaz that you don't have, or you don't want to use the light cone at the current moment because you're not going to have them on the same team. Cruising in the Stellar Sea, I think this is always just going to be a good option no matter what for a lot of free-to-play and low spender accounts, just because you're going to get that small bit of crit rate, and then you're also going to be getting extra crit rate when they're under 50%, and then also you are going to be getting an attack buff when you do defeat an enemy. Again, I don't like conditional light cones, but it's still a really nice one for free-to-play players. And then lastly, when looking at Dr.Ratio and his E1, which one would be better, E1 or the light cone? And looking at his E1, it really isn't the craziest thing in the world. I think they purposely made it a little bit weaker than usual just because of him being a free character. And his E1 is he does get an extra 4 counts to his stacks for Sumnation, which Sumnation is the crit rate and crit damage bonus you get depending on the debuffs. So instead of it being 6, you end up having it at 10. So you will be getting an extra bit of crit rate and crit damage. Right now, I'm not calculating that because my head's gonna fry if I try to do that on spot. spot. So you are going to be getting a bit of extra crit rate, crit damage. It's not a crazy amount, but it will help you with the relic struggle, I guess you could say. If you aren't having any good relics on and you want to have that big base boost of crit rate, crit damage, then it can work really well and you can get this off really quickly. You also get 4 stacks of Same Nation when you start the battle. So you will be starting off with, again, I'm not gonna calculate anything right now. I think my brain again will fry if I try to do that on spot, but you'll get a small boost of crit rate, crit damage as soon as you hit the field. So it'll be a little bit easier, or the same amount of time it would take you to get the debuffs from the E1 or the E0 all the way up to the max. And then same thing for E1 to the max. You will get the same amount of time because you will need to get 6 stacks to be able to max it out fully. So E1 and then the Lightcone, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're gonna get automatic 40% crit damage from this as well. And the fact that his E1 does already have, or not the E1, but the E0 for the Sum Nation already gives you 15% crit rate on top of something like the Imaginary set, on top of something like his actual traces, his minor traces. You don't really 100% need the E1 at all. It will help you with the base value of Dr.Ratio, but right now, for the Lightcone and how good it is for Ratio, if you're looking to give Ratio some more damage and you want to solely work on Dr.Ratio, I would say go for the Lightcone, because the Lightcone has way too much on it. You can get a lot more from this and you're going to do a lot more damage with it rather than getting the base boost of crit rate, crit damage, because it just boosts the base values of the crit damage and crit rate ratios that you would have, making it a little bit easier to grind relics. But if you are going to be investing into this character, I 100% think that his signature Lightcone would be a lot better. Do you really need the Lightcone? Not at all. I really think something like Swordplay will work very well on him if you do have that Lightcone. I think that we might even get better Lightcones for Penacony when we get like a brand new shop or maybe a brand new store or something with that, with it comes to with the mode. I think we might get something that works with Dr.Ratio for free, because right now we have no follow-up attack Lightcones for hunt. So I think we're gonna get some type of free-to-play version of that maybe in the future. But right now, I don't think at all E1 or Lightcone is 100% needed. If you do want to work on Ratio and you want to have him at the highest potential with one or other investment, then the Lightcone would be it. The E1 I really don't think is really needed for him at all. You don't need it at all. I think the Lightcone is the best bet if you want to invest in him like really a lot, because we get him for free, so you don't really need to. So other than that, Lightcone really good. If you want to invest in him, purely the Lightcone. If you want to just take your Ratio for free and take it for free and don't get anything else, that is 100% fine as well, because we are getting this free character and it's better to just save the jades for someone you would like, something like Black Swan, something like Sparkle, something like Acheron. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming up with Penacony. So other than that, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. Hopefully, and also let me know what you're going to be summoning on the banner when it comes to either getting his E1, you're going to E6 him, are you going to get the Lightcone, are you going to be summoning for Kafka, all that type of stuff. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.